Today I would be describing yet another stunning destination, exploring single-handedly as I do more often, with the help of God and of course my thousands of followers and well-wishers on this wonderful planet Earth. I continue to admire the globe and its huge contingent of fauna and flora. On this occasion, I was able to study the incredible island of Madagascar, the world's highest climate conservation priority. Now I am able to describe the unmatched endemism demonstrated by this unique piece of land. Although Brazil happens to be the world's leader in primate diversity, this intriguing island country is only 7% the size and only 1/4 the size of Indonesia and Zaire that boost second and third position. Madagascar's 32 species and 50 distinct taxa are almost 100% endemic. Finally, in 2017, I made this huge effort of traversing this island country to approximate with the endangered endemic primates called the lemurs. Intensely embedded in the trunk. In the background you can hear the sounds of the Indri. This place is amazing. Probably the only place on earth where you can find Indris inhabit. Wow, look at that sound. Amazing, the sounds of the Indri. Wow, we're lucky to hear that. Oh, look at the Indri sound. In this forest, the sound of the Indri, the lemurs, amazing. Can you hold this? Looking at the generic and family levels, Madagascar's diversity is even more striking than anything else that I've seen. 5 primate families and 14 genera are practically found nowhere else on this planet Earth. While browsing through some crucial information even before landing in the capital city of Antananarivo, I knew that 50 lemur taxa recognized for Madagascar are considered critically endangered, 7 are endangered, and another 19 are vulnerable. The frequency seems to be practically unmatched by any other country. The endangerment is at a higher taxonomic level, which is of course a great international concern. With all this information and my passion to see all the endangered species that call planet their home, I was finally able to land in Madagascar. Even before landing, I knew that Madagascar was a difficult country to travel, especially solo, as I often do, which I always, of course, do. This was because of the increasing poverty, number 1, illiteracy, number 2, and of course, the overpopulation that always breeds insecurity. So today, I would be talking to you about this great island country called Madagascar. It's part of Africa. And before we go into what lives there, it is very important to talk about the evolution of this wonderful island and how the animals evolved, how the plant, the fauna and the flora evolved. So let's talk about the isolation and biodiversity. So about 300 miles east of South Africa, across the Mozambique Channel, lies this island of Madagascar, best known for its lemurs, for which I was there actually, which are relatives of the monkeys, the apes and the humans, and colorful chameleons, stunning orchids and towering baobab trees. Madagascar is the home to some of the world's most unique flora and fauna. Almost all of Madagascar's reptile and amphibian species and half of its birds and all of its lemurs are endemic to the island, meaning they can be found nowhere else on the earth. Now, Madagascar is unusual, not only for the endemic species, but also for species that are conspicuously absent. Because of Madagascar's geographical isolation, many groups of plants and animals are entirely absent from the island. Some groups are represented only by species very recently introduced by the humans. Now, missing on the island are many species of large mammals. There are no antelopes, elephants, zebras, camels, giraffes, hyenas, lions and cheetahs that roam the continent Africa otherwise. The only large African mammal that made it to the Madagascar prior to the arrival of humans several thousand years ago was the hippopotamus, the hippos, similar to those that occupy the Nile River basin today. But apparently they swam to Madagascar sometime during the Tertiary era. Their descendants underwent dwarfing and evolved into species unique to the island. The distinctive biodiversity is a result of Madagascar's geographic isolation. Now, geologists believe that 165 million years ago, Madagascar was connected to Africa, but began to drift away from the continent sometime during the next 15 million years ago. Paleontologists exploring Madagascar's Mesozoic era deposits have found that the bones of dinosaurs also, early birds and mammals. However, most of the groups of mammals and other terrestrial fauna that are well represented on Madagascar today had not evolved when Madagascar first split from continent Africa. So it is believed that the ancestors of these animals arrived on this great island after having crossed large expanses of ocean by rafting on floating logs or mated vegetation. The subsequent adaptive radiation of these taxonomic groups is what makes Madagascar so special. I was overwhelmed, and this is why I was there. The animal and plant life of this great island is largely the result of a natural experiment in evolution on a land apart, but very much like your own. So the other interesting creature that I saw in this remote, fourth largest island in the world were the geckos. Now, geckos is basically they're a lizard, and these geckos are different types. They could be diurnal, they could be nocturnal. I did see a diurnal species of gecko. Now, these live on the eastern coast of Madagascar, and they typically inhabit rainforests and dwell on trees. Now, the Madagascar day gecko feeds on insects, fruit and nectar. Well, so there was quite a few geckos that I did see. This lizard is one of the largest living day geckos. It can reach a total length of sometimes 22 centimeters as well. The body color is usually different in different geckos. Some of them match up with the color of the trees and the trunks of the trees, and you are unable to see them. So the other important aspect of geckos are that they have this quality of camouflaging themselves in the environment. Some, but not all geckos can change colors at will to mimic the environment. While I was in the famous Ingri Park, Elena Mazotra, I was shown by my very knowledgeable guide a gecko. I couldn't recognize it actually because it had changed colors and it mimicked the environment. It was right on the trunk and I couldn't see it. Now this happens because this allows them to protect themselves by blending in with their surroundings and almost becoming invisible to predators. While searching the Ingri lemurs, which will come of course later in the next episode, I was able to see, actually couldn't see myself, my very able and informative and knowledgeable guide showed me a gecko. I couldn't recognize it because these are usually nocturnal geckos and these can change colors at will to mimic the environment, and this allows them to protect themselves by blending in with their surroundings and becoming almost invisible to the predators. We have marked it for you to see it because it's not otherwise very apparent. So this particular gecko that I am describing here, and you can see on the video, is called the leaf-tailed gecko, And as you can see, it has completely camouflaged itself. They can do it on the barks of the tree as it is doing it here. They can do it on dry leaves. And during the day, branches, tree trunks and leaf litter provide areas of camouflage where the geckos can rest out of sight from, as I've told you, the predators. So the predators can hardly notice this unusual reptile among the branches and leaves, even I couldn't, due to the excellent camouflage. This leaf-tailed gecko is even able to flatten the body, as it is almost doing here, to reduce its own shadow. And sometimes the satanic leaf-tailed geckos open their jaws and expose its bright red mouth to frighten the predator when it is cornered. Now, describing this beautiful Mandraka Park, it's a great place to spend some time, especially if you are either going to have lunch or snacks. I did not do it, of course, but I was able to wander around, hike a wee bit, and see the lush green lawns, small artificial lake, and this place was absolutely amazing. Whether you're traveling from Antananarivo or you're coming to Antananarivo from Antasebe, I think this is a great stop, especially if you need to eat something. And although I did not eat anything, I've heard that the food was excellent. So let me describe to you some of these creatures which were totally enthralling, totally overwhelming. And I was absolutely amazed to see such a rare variety of lizards, and they are called the chameleons. Now, the chameleons are a distinctive and highly specialized clade of old world lizards. So they are lizards, of course. And with 202 species described as of now, 2015, these species come in a range of colors. I've seen the green ones, I've seen the multicolored, I've seen the blue ones, and many species have the ability to change color. This is very, very important as well. Now, the chameleons are distinguished by what they call their zygodactylous feet. They're very extensive, highly modified, rapidly extrudable tongues, and their swaying gait and crest or horns on their brow and snout. So you can see we fed them with grasshoppers and flies, and they would extrude their tongues. Now, most species, the larger ones in particular, are also prehensile. They have a prehensile tail. Chameleons' eyes are independently mobile. You can see them, they can rotate it all around. But in aiming at a prey item, they focus forward in coordination, affording the animal stereoscopic vision. Now, the other feature of chameleons are they are adapted for climbing and visual hunting. They live in warm habitats, as in Madagascar, where I was, that range from rainforests to deserts, with various species occurring in Africa, Madagascar, South or Southern Europe, and across Southern Asia and as far as Sri Lanka. And now, they've also been introduced to Hawaii, California, and Florida. And of course, often are kept as household pets. So I was also able to see what they call the stem-tailed chameleon in the same reptile park, and nearly all species of chameleons have prehensile tails, but they most often grip with the same tail and can hold onto the trunks of the tree. So I was able to take some great pictures and videos when my guide or given a fly or grasshopper to these chameleons, and they protruded their tongue, and this was a great sight at all. And it was a great sight to see the chameleons, whether they were the panther chameleon or whether they were the striped ones, protruding the long tongue to grasp the fly or the grasshopper, whatever he or she was fed with. Especially the panther chameleons, their colors were so bright and beautiful, a mixture of so many colors, and the look was absolutely stunning. The brightness and the shine on them was amazing. It was a great sight to see these, especially these panther chameleons in this reptile reserve here in Madagascar. So one of the major components of indigenous mammalian fauna of Madagascar to lemurs, there are 46 bat species that have been so far recorded on the island of Madagascar, of which 36 occur only on this island. Now, most Malagasy bats have their origins, as you can see, in the nearby mainland Africa, but on at least 3 occasions, one that you can see in this video, is called the Steropus rufus, and these bats have colonized Madagascar from Asia. So in the end, I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed sitting back in your chair, the 4K resolution of the isolation of the island of Madagascar and the captivating and unique creatures that have evolved over the time to create this unimaginable spectacle. If you have, do subscribe to my channel.